Delegate, welcome and thank you for coming.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a great event, and as I understand it, it's the biggest event in India, and it's a celebration of good over evil. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Delegate Rush, I know you have a very important election. Any special message to the community which is not here? We have over a lot of people here, and any message for the people sitting at home?
Well, I would ask them to come out on November the 5th, and I've had a real outreach program to the Indian community, and for that matter, all minority communities, and I hope they will get involved in the election. It's very important to be involved, to be active, and so we can all work together to solve problems.
Well, Delegate, one more thing. I know you've done so much in Herndon, which is a very key area of yours where you're running, and you've gone and fixed potholes, you've fixed so many things, and your commitment to the community goes a long, long way. So I thank you for being here, and I request everyone to go on board on your behalf and bring you back to office. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you so much for those kind words. I look forward to continuing to work with everybody on fixing all the potholes.
Exactly. Thank you. And we're going to do our prayers and the Pledge of Allegiance. And I know Tom has to go. I just want him to address the community for a few words and his time being here. Before you speak, Tom, I gotta get the music down. And I'm glad Mrs. Cuccinelli is also here. Welcome. Please, a round of applause for Mrs. Cuccinelli. Tom, a few words for the community.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to come to an event like this, particularly when it is the event of life, and it's one where we celebrate good over evil. But on a more local matter, the Indian community in the area that I represent, which is Herndon, Oak Hill, Sterling, and Chantilly, is a strong entrepreneur part of our community. A lot of folks are in the very high-tech industries, and I look forward to continuing to work with all of you and make sure that the Virginia economy stays open, stays strong. We protect all the things that to keep us so strong and make sure that the Indian community is always represented at the table as they are with me. Thank you so much for having me, and good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Now we're going to begin our program. Can I request Monica, please, to join me up here? She's going to share what the importance of Diwali is here. And Monica, as you all know, may have seen her on television. She's with Channel 9 News. She has been a very inspiring role model for a lot of ladies, especially for the Indian community. She has been on television for over 20 years. And she tells the news and tells people to drive safe. But I'll let her tell more to you, please.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. I know there's rush hour, that's what I report on. I had to sit in traffic today, which I normally don't have to do because I get up at 2:45 in the morning to get to work. I leave home at just about 3:30, and I kind of like it when I'm talking about everyone else stuck on the roads, and I'm already at work. So that makes it better. We really appreciate all of you being here, celebrating the most important holiday for Indians, which is Diwali. Diwali is the triumph of good over evil, which is just what you heard. The story is all about perseverance. It's all about faith. It's about trust. It's about a relationship between a man and a woman, and they outlast a lot of evil and end up back in their hometown with triumph. And I think really what that tells us is the story of life, isn't it? It really is something that all of us in life can relate to when we deal with challenges. All of us have to deal with those things, and if we have faith, we can persevere. And that's really what that story tells us. And what I love about this kind of event is it's about creating awareness about this holiday that we celebrate with so much festivity, with so much partying with family and friends. And that's really kind of what a lot of us do in so many faiths and religions. And so it's really, I think, a unifying event to create this awareness and understanding of what Diwali is in the U.S. and in our community here. So thank you so much for celebrating with us today. Thank you for having me.
This is going to be very informal. We're going to have candidates coming in and going. In fact, I have to recognize Senator Mark Obenchain, who had a commitment somewhere else, but he stayed here, and he's going to spend a good another 20-30 minutes before he leaves for another event. And Ms. Cuccinelli is here. Also, Mrs. Cuccinelli is here too. So before we do that, I like to, as we do everything in our country and our culture, in faith and in God, and this whole founding fathers saw this country, this one nation under God, and that's what I believe in, and that's what I know my candidate who's running for governor, my dear friend Ken Cuccinelli, believes in also. So before we do that, I'm going to ask my spiritual guide, Gyani-ji, to lead us into a prayer, which is from the Sikh community. Gyani-ji, can I request you to do the honors, please?
ओंकार वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। श्री भगवती जी साहिवाल श्री भगवती जी की पातशाही दशमी प्रथम भगवती सिमर के गुरु नानक ले इंतहाई फंग गुरुदेव अमरदास रामदास से विसाह हरजन हर गोविंद नो सिमरो श्री हर राय श्री हर कृष्ण जी त्याय इष्टे शब्द बजाय तेग बहादुर सिमरे करनान दे आवे ताए सब साई होना जी साहिब दसवां पातशाह श्री गुरु गोविंद सिंह जी महाराज सब साई होना जी साहिब दसवां पातशाह जी के पावन जोत सतगुरु श्री गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी के पाठ दर्शन दिदार जी का त्यंतर बोलना जी वाह। गुरु साहिब जी के पंजा प्यारियां जहाँ सब जादियां चालियां मुक्तियां समूह शहीदां परम सतवाना पंजा तख्तां सर्वत गुरधामा जी का त्यंतर बोलना जी वाह। गरीब नवाज पातशाह जी पवित्र चरण कमलों विखे अरदास बेनती जो दड़ी है सतगुरु जी आप जी के चरण कमलों का वोट आसरा लेके कुचनाली जी सतगुरु बादशाह जी गवर्नर के वास्ते रण कर जा रहे हैं। सिर ते वे रथ की कृपालता करना, उनके साथियों के सिर ते सतगुरु हाथ की कृपालता करना, सफलता बख्शनी गरीब नवाज पातशाह जी सर्वत आईं चढ़दियां कला बख्श की कृपालता करना। सुख हवे नाम चित आवे नानक नाम चढ़दी कला तेरे पाने सर्वत दा भला। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। बोले सोनिहाल सत श्री अकाल।
Gyani, thank you so much. Just with a prayer from the, I get always emotional, as Ken does, for Ken to win this important election. It's a blessing from the Sikh community and the Indian community for a very important juncture our country is at. And thank you, Gyani, for giving positive words and God's words to him. And the last phrase, which is it's also a war cry when we Sikhs went to war. And we fought against great odds. And that was a war which would put fear in people's mind, in their hearts. They couldn't sleep at night when they said, Vaijay Khalsa and Vaijay Fateh. And then we died happily. So that's one of the history about the Sikhs. Now I'm going to request Reshma to say a Gayatri Mantra, which is through the Hindu tradition. And then I'm going to request my friend Matt Ames to say a Christian prayer.
Good evening. The Gayatri Mantra is supposed to be very, very auspicious for beginning something. So here we go. Om Bhurvuvah Swaha Tasya Viturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodaya. Thank you.
Thank you, Reshma. Matt, can I request you, please?
Thank you, buddy. If you bow our heads. Lord, you who see and know all things, you who know our hearts and our minds better than we know them ourselves, you know that we sometimes forget and fail to appreciate all the gifts that we have received from you. The gift of life itself, the gift of your love, the love of our family and our friends, the opportunity to live in this wonderful country and make our lives in freedom and in peace. Having received all these gifts from you already, we have no right, truly, to ask anything else of you. But you also know that we are weak and prone to error and are often led astray. And so at this moment, we ask you for your guidance, your wisdom, your light. We ask that you shine your light and hold it high for all of us to see, so that we can see your will and see the path ahead, especially in these next few days when the people of Virginia have such important decisions to make. We ask this not for ourselves, but that we may serve you better. Amen.
Thank you. I'm going to ask my daughter Anya and young Sean to lead us a pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Anya. Thank you, Sean. Great job. Now I'm going to request Ahmad, my son, to sing the national anthem, please.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Okay, Ahmad, you're in the X Factor next. Oh, well, before we start, I know Mark has to leave to another event. I'm going to request Mark Obenchain to address the community. Mark, please.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to acknowledge the Dipawali festival, and I understand that it was recognized on Channel 9 this morning, even at the Pentagon today, and I think that it is wonderful. And as I've traveled around Virginia, and I'm sure Tiro will echo this sentiment, one of the great blessings that we have in the Commonwealth of Virginia is our rich diversity. It is not just racial diversity, it's not just ethnic diversity, it's economic diversity, geographic diversity, every kind. And it is something to be celebrated, including religious diversity as well. And you cannot really appreciate that without traveling as much as Tiro and Ken and I have done during the course of this campaign. And I just want to say thank you for inviting me and allowing me to participate in this. I just want to say, as we're coming down to the wire, there is so much at stake, and we need your help. You know, with every passing day, as every additional Virginian gets a cancellation notice of their health insurance, or new rate notices, or tries to log on to the Department of Health and Human Services website, we're picking up votes every single day. And I'm here to tell you that we're running on our side a positive campaign. And you know what? I think it must be working, because I've seen an awful lot of attacks pointed and directed at, they've been directed at Ken for a long time. Over the course of the past week, I feel like I've seen an awful lot of attacks, and I feel like we're winning. We're winning. We're picking up steam. We're picking up momentum. And with your help, we're going to win next Tuesday. I just want to say, I've been traveling Virginia for the better part of a year, 2 years, 3 years. Mary Campbell, I probably sat down with you 2.5 years ago. And I've been talking all of that time about my positive message. I want to serve as your Attorney General so I can work to keep our community safe, to fight against threats to our children, human trafficking, gangs, drugs, to make sure that we're protecting our senior citizens from abuse, neglect, and exploitation, to make sure that the Attorney General's office continues to promote economic development as Ken has done. And we need to make sure that we're not adopting job-killing policies in Virginia. We need to keep Virginia's economy strong so that our children and our grandchildren, when you graduate from high school and college, that you're going to have job opportunities right here if you want to settle here. That's what I'm fighting for. That's what Ken's fighting for. That's what our team is fighting for. And I need your help. We need your help. With your help, we are going to win next week. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And God bless you, and God bless the Commonwealth of Virginia.
I'm going to request Monica Sultani to come out, and before we introduce our next guest, she would like to say a few words about Ms. Cuccinelli.
Welcome, Tiro. Thank you so much for being here. As I mentioned earlier, Diwali is the triumph of good over evil, and it's about a couple who perseveres through a lot of challenges. But behind every good man is a great woman, just like in that story. Exactly like Ram and Sita in the Ramayana, which is Diwali. And so I welcome you. I congratulate you for all of your hard work, sometimes behind the scenes and sometimes maybe unnoticed, but not here tonight. We're so happy you're going to speak to us. And here at my family's restaurant, Bombay Tandoor, my mom, who also is a great woman, Ronnie Verma. Thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to see the results of your hard work.
Thank you all so much for inviting me to help you celebrate Diwali. Did I get that right, Diwali? Yes. I very much appreciate it. It's my first Diwali celebration, but I hope it's not my last. You know, I'd like to touch on a few things. First of all, I'd like to touch on some of the negative commercials that Mark was talking about. I hope you all understand, especially the women in the room, that the Democrats this year, and it's not just with Ken, it's happening to my state delegate and other delegate races across the Commonwealth of Virginia, they're targeting women's emotions. They are trying to manipulate our emotions with lies. And I hope that you will reach out to your female friends and let them know that we are not as gullible as we think that they think we are, and that we base our votes on truth. So I'm a believer that character in the elected officials that we elect to represent us still matters. I believe that character of our elected representatives is very important. So I'd like to just tell you a little bit about my husband, because most of what you know about Ken Cuccinelli probably comes from television or the newspapers, but there's much more to Ken Cuccinelli than that. So I would like to tell you that I've known him since I was 14 years old. And as long as I've known him, he has been about serving others. When we were in high school, Ken used to tutor other kids in the inner city of Washington. When we were in college, Ken started a program at the University of Virginia to help educate his fellow female students on the dangers of sexual assault on campus and how not to become a victim. When we were married right out of college, Ken went to law school, and while he was in law school, he worked at the local homeless shelter. After law school, he drove over to Mount Vernon Hospital at very early hours in the morning and volunteered his time to help represent the mentally ill in their involuntary commitment hearings. There are many other things. He worked for the Pro Bono Veterans Consortium to help get vets the benefits that they've earned. He was a basketball coach. And he didn't do all these things because he thought he would ever run for office. Ken did all these things serving his fellow man because they were the right thing to do. He believes in serving his fellow man. And he's been doing it, his whole political career has been about serving his fellow man, despite what you might read in the Washington Post. One of the funniest experiences we've had is sitting together in the morning in the kitchen and reading the Washington Post. And you learn things about your husband that even he doesn't know. It's amazing. But people ask me all the time, why we're doing this. I tend to be an introvert. I once told Ken, don't ever run for office because I'm never giving speeches for you. But people ask me, why are you doing what you're doing, especially in a media climate that's so hostile to conservatives? And we know it's been a brutal race. Ken's not just running against Terry McAuliffe, he's running against the media, and he's running against Planned Parenthood, and he's running against environmentalists from California and labor unions. It's been brutal. But when people ask me why we're doing what we're doing, I tell them a couple things. I tell them, number one, we live in a nation in which, for the first time in my lifetime, we have to be concerned about our constitutional God-given rights to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. We have to be concerned about our freedom of religion. We have to be concerned about our parental rights, our property rights, our First Amendment rights. There are so many things that we have to be concerned about now that really should not be in question. And so I tell people that I believe that my children's future is worth protecting, but I can't promise them a future of prosperity or liberty if we don't fight for it. And that is why Ken and I are doing what we're doing, even in today's hostile climate for people like us. So I thank you so much for the opportunity to say hello to you and greet you tonight and help you celebrate Diwali. And I ask you to please reach out to your friends who might believe the commercials and tell them the commercials are bunk. Let me tell you about the real Ken Cuccinelli. And tell them that character really does matter, and Ken is a man of great character, family, and faith. And he is truly the right man to lead Virginia for the next 4 years. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Tara, thank you so much. You may have known him at the age of 14, but I have known Ken for 14 years now. When I met Ken, he was a senator and he was running a very tough race. As always, his races are tough. But there were times when I would not agree with him on everything, which is normal with our candidates. But one thing I know about Ken, if Ken says something and looks you in the eye and tells you and makes a promise to the people in the community, you can take that check and cash it, unlike Terry McAuliffe. Ken is truly a man with integrity and with substance. As you know, when sometimes people take some punches, which is very few Indians are Republicans, but I probably do that. You see, in the Sikh community, there's 5 tenets where we wear the case and we also carry the kirpan, which is to protect. And it's very proud for us. And that's the same thing what Ken is fighting for, is the Constitution, our fundamental rights, which the founding fathers in this country fought for and had the vision for us to be able to pray, follow the religions we believe in, and yet at the same time The Second Amendment is to do what we need to do. And Ken is the one who's putting those procedures in place so the wrong people don't get the guns in their hand. So these are key things which the media won't tell you, the left-wing advertisement won't tell you, but my relationship with Ken and a person in the community, I can say that this man is going to be doing far more positive for the Indian business community when it comes to taxes, my kids' education, your kids' education. This is a very, very key race. It's important. So anyway, I don't want to say, I want you to read up, make the decision, and Tero, you made a great case for Ken. And before I do that, I want to recognize my dear friend Harvey Lind, who's here. Harvey, he's running for US Senate. Thank you for coming. I have to recognize the guy who's going to be signing the check today, Stephen Fong from RNC. Stephen. Once again, Anthony Reedy, who's also signing the other check. Anthony, thank you so much. And I have to say, Pat Mullins, the chairman of RPV, who is the creator of putting this council and reaching to the community here, he said, I want to be here, but I'm sorry, I'm committed. It's campaign time. So that's the reason why Pat Mullins is not there. And my friend Jason Chung is here. Okay, I know. And now I also want to mention Shaq Hill, who's also running for US Senate. He's a very aggressive young man. Somebody was telling me, is he really running for Congress? I said, yes, he is, and he's going to defeat Ken. Jerry Conley, some guy. So he's going to defeat Jerry Conley. His name is Ron Myers. Ron, thank you for doing what you're doing. And I'm going to request my debonair, very fashionable friend who's very well known, who's got diverse CEO, Washington Masala, to introduce one of the greatest person I've met. His name is Arthur Davis, and he's going to introduce him. Just a little bit about Arthur Davis. Arthur Davis was a Democrat congressman from Alabama, but he came over to the Republican side because he saw the values which we have in the conservative Republican side. But I'll let Arthur tell more, but I'm going to request Rick to please introduce him. Rick Khosla.
Done the introduction, we should just call Arthur Davis. Commenting on Mark Obensham's healthcare stuff was a couple of days ago I had called my healthcare provider. We're a small IT company, about 50 people. And suddenly the premium raise was about 52% on Obama healthcare. And so that was kind of a shocking news, so going back to his comment, but would like to introduce our friend Arthur Davis.
Thank you very much. Paneet has warned me that you have to breathe into this microphone to be heard, so forgive me. I'm going to be extremely brief tonight, but Mrs. Cuccinelli, our First Lady-to-be, I want to pick up on something you said. We have a lot of people in this room who love the Constitution, who love liberty, so you should appreciate this. Ever since Hamilton and Adams and Washington and Jefferson and Madison and Monroe, to put yourself forward to serve has been to risk your reputation, your name, and your sacred honor. And they didn't even have negative attack ads back then. You know, some of you all may not appreciate this. I know our candidates and spouses in the room do. Every kind of commercial on television, except for one kind, has to be truthful. And every kind of commercial but one kind you can get taken off the air if it's not truthful. You know the one exception to the truthfulness requirement for advertising? Politics. So, all of that said to say, ladies and gentlemen, I want to salute Mrs. Cuccinelli, I want to salute the Obenshane family, I want to salute the Jackson family, because their names, their sacred honor, and their reputations have been relentlessly trashed, untruthfully, and that ought not be the price for service in the United States of America. Don't you agree? And people ask me, what do we do about it? Because we know that it's so. What do we do about it? I'll tell you what we can do here in Virginia. We can make it so the negative ads did not work. We can make it so that the lies didn't work. We can make it so that the deception did not work. So for all addition to all the other reasons you have for voting for this ticket and for these candidates, come out to vote for them to make the statement that the truth ought to rest high on the throne. Now I want to say one last thing. I love being at events like this because it reminds me that we ain't what they say we are. If you were to ask our Democratic friends, in fact, Ms. Cuccinelli, I don't know if you have trackers following you or not. They tend to be a little bit nicer to spouses. But I wish we had a Democratic tracker here, because these Democratic trackers, they need to see Republican rooms like this. And if we don't have a Democratic tracker here, it's probably because they got lost when they walked in this room. They have a certain notion of what they think we are. Folks, I'll tell you what we are. We are a party of everybody who believes that individuals are strong. We're a party who believes in opening doors for all who are willing enough to walk through those doors. And there's one thing I want to drive home to you. Our Democratic friends, yes, they're compassionate. Think about something for a moment. They always talk about putting a net around people who are poor. They always talk about helping people who are poor, changing people's lives so they're not poor any longer. I believe in a Republican Party that stands for the power of the individual and the power of all people being able to rise. So 5 days to go. Let's do our part. Let's reward this wonderful lady for her courage. And let's put the Commonwealth on a pathway toward being prosperous and successful for all of our people. God bless you.
Arthur, thank you. And you know, the Indians are very entrepreneurial. In fact, I have to say and commend, in fact, Monica did outline the auntie, Rani auntie, who owns this restaurant. She is a great entrepreneur, but more importantly, a great businesswoman who runs this business, and she needs to be in this business because one, the food is great, and two, she creates jobs, unlike taking jobs away, which the Democrats do, which makes the government bigger and bigger and taxes us more. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a short break because we Republicans tend to let people manage their own time. I do want, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm going to basically have my chairman, how could I forget that? I want to introduce my chairman. In fact, I want to request Mr. Kandal to come out and recognize my chairman. Mr. Kandal is a businessman. He's been here for 12 years. He's from the Nepalese community. We also have Nepalese television here. Shida Bhaiya, can you come and introduce my chairman, please?
Good evening, everyone. I have distinct honor to introduce.
Can't hear you.
I have distinct honor to introduce Fairfax County Republican Party Chairman Jim McIntyre. He is a good family man. He is business executive. He is a sports coach. He is musician and community leader. I met him a few years ago. He called me, for his presidential campaign. He was running for the president campaign. Then after that, I meet him all the time, Republican Party. Then I'd like to tell you the one thing about the train. Every day, I receive the mail from the environmental group from the California, not Virginia. They are pouring their money, all the money, to defeat the cane in the Virginia. Then, like the Nepalese news, Kantipur Online, all the Nepalese newspaper, they are putting all the money. You need to understand why they are putting the money. They don't have a base in the Virginia. They want to pour all the money, like the billionaire Michael Bloomberg. Then they want to, win by the money, their things. We need to defeat them this November 5th. I already talked to most of my clients. They voted before Democrat. This time, they are not going to vote them. Yeah, you need to tell all your clients. You need to convert them. We need to make the diverse group, like the Republican Party, then we can win all the time. Then I remember, when Jay ran for the FC Archie chairman, is telling that, Fairfax County, we make it, most of the Fairfax County, Ray, he's doing all his job. I respect him. This is my honor. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much for that gracious introduction, and happy Diwali. It is wonderful to be here with you as chairman of the Fairfax County Committee for the Republicans. I get to go to so many different wonderful events, and this is just beautiful. I enjoy the aroma as well, and I know that I'm between you and eating, I believe, so I will be brief. But I also want to thank Puneet for putting this together tonight and all the work that he's done for that. Not only tonight, but all the work that he's done with our committee. He's the vice chairman of our committee, and he is in charge of budget and finance, but he's also involved in everything we do. And one of the things that I'm very, very proud of, and Arthur, you mentioned it, and that is the engagement that our county committee has done with a very, very diverse population of Fairfax County. And we have made that a #1 priority this year. Puneet has been a leader in that. Marta Saltis is over there. Hi, Marta. She's been a leader in that as well. And we have done that because we know that the strength of this community comes from its wonderful diversity. And when we think about all the things that we can do if we work together, and all the things that we can do if we respect each other, it motivates our committee to do more. And we have to be motivated. Ladies and gentlemen, we've heard, Sierra, thank you very much. We've heard about Ken's campaign. Mark Obenshane, I'm going to see E.W. Jackson in just a little while. We have great members of the House of Delegates running. We even have a sheriff candidate running in Fairfax County this year. And these people have really put their name on the line. But let me be very, very blunt with you. We need to let our friends and neighbors know that we are in an epic struggle for the future of our nation. And we have only 6 days left to go to the end of Election Day, where we can get other people to join us in that struggle. So while this is a wonderful night, I think it's also important that we remember the message of the Diwali, the triumph of good over evil, the struggle that people go through, and dedicate ourselves to give of ourselves for these next days so that the future can be bright for the people of Virginia. I know with Ken Cuccinelli as governor, your children, my children, your grandchildren, my grandchildren, our businesses, our communities, our churches, synagogues, mosques, they will all be better off. So I ask for your support. As a county chairman, I got to get people to the polls. I ask you to help me do that. Get on your email, your Facebook, your Twitter, knock on your neighbor's door, call them up, and make sure they vote. The future really actually does depend on it. God bless you and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for choosing me to do the job. There are other key people who are here. I want to basically recognize Mary Campbell, who is part of the events we do. Mary Campbell. I love you. Of course, Matt Ames, who is also our vice chairman, who does a great job. I also have to recognize a very dear friend of mine, Mike Thompson, who has been my partner in making this outreach for many, many years. Mike, thank you for doing this. I have to also identify my better half, Nadia, for allowing me to do what I do. Thank you, and she does that. My dear friend, my good friend Rajesh Gutti, who's at the back, who's supposed to introduce Tom Davis. I'm waiting for him. Rajesh, thank you for being here. Please be patient. And my other friend, Mr. Manish Sood, who, if you ever hear about Bollywood shows and Bollywood movies, it's this man who brings it to this town. He's the man who creates shows and identifies the movie stars of Bollywood. So, Manish Sood, thank you for being here, and many other people in your town. So please enjoy the food, and let you know there is going to be a lot more when Barbara Comstock comes, and I'm sure you're next on the list on that. Thank you all.
Area. Barbara, thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here.
Well, thank you. On behalf of TV Asia and everyone and the viewers, Indian community, we are thankful from your busy, hectic schedule to come out here. I understand you have a lot of Indian Americans in your district. What is your message to them while they're sitting at home watching television?
Well, it's just a great district and it has such a great diversity, and I love working with the community because they're involved in everything. Our high-tech community, our small business community, hotel community, our educational community, philanthropic, so everything in medical. So everywhere we go, we have a great population. So I enjoy working with the community. It's a big part of what we do. And my door is open to making sure people come here and like all the audiences to have this is an inviting place to be in Northern Virginia. It's a fabulous place to raise a family, start a business.
Well, great, Barbara. Thank you so much for joining us. I know your door has been open because I've knocked on the door and gone into the door many times. So thank you for being here, and a happy Diwali to you and your family.
Thank you, and I appreciate your leadership and the leadership of everybody here tonight.
Thank you.
Said, Daddy, I can't read that. It looks like an Indian name. Oh, Ken Kuchinali's name all over. And I said, she asked if this is the place we want to go. It's bigger. And I said, it is bigger, and it will be really big if we can get the sanctity of vote executed this 5th. And if you elect persons like that, then we can have bigger farms, bigger horses, bigger sheep, you know, larger things. There are 3 things I think broadly that we all come here to contribute to. The first one is wealth generation. It doesn't mean buying bigger cars, bigger homes, you know, fancier clothes. It means we should be living in a society where everybody is prosperous. Electing a person who is successful like Barbara Comstock will help better transportation, better education, better schooling, and this will go a long way in wealth generation for the community as a whole. The second task is wealth protection. You got the wealth and you need to protect it. And we assume protecting wealth is by writing wills and having some financial planner draw. All that is good. But there has to be policies that have to be in place that protect the community. And these policies will be run by winners. A lady, Barbara Comstock, who's won the 2nd time, can execute policies and governance that is going to protect the community as a whole. Finally, it's about wealth distribution. We all hear these big names, Windows, Gates, and everybody giving back. Well, giving back to a lot of people is just tax benefit. A $100 check for animal rights or something is not going to be as useful. You got to give back for the future generations, for your kids. And champions who are repeat winners, like Barbara Comstock, can ensure your kids have secure future, your kids have secure education, and you have smoother roads, maybe lower tolls, you know, things like that will come through an elected official. Finally, I would close by saying there are 3 things that are important in the final push. 1, who you know, please tell them to come out and get the vote out, November 5th on a Tuesday. 2, who they know, please urge them also to include other folks they know. And above all, the most important is you. Make sure you vote. I'm an election officer, and I always have voted since the day I've been a citizen, and I would encourage everybody else to do that. Please give it up for Barbara Comstock. Thank you.
Thank you, and happy Diwali, and it's so nice to be with you here this evening, and thanks for all coming out. We really are thrilled to be able to work with the Indian community. You know, my district does have a great, thriving Indian population, and as I mentioned to a lot of you as I've gone around, it's always great to see these family events and see all the children. And I know you're here developing your careers and your lives and your businesses, your medical practices, and your charities to make the world better for your kids. And so it's so wonderful for us to be able to work with you. My top priority is jobs. I mean, that is the #1 thing that I work on every year, and I've worked a lot with the IT community, so of course I see a lot of the Indian community in our IT and our tech community. I was very pleased to be endorsed by the Northern Virginia Technology Council, as well as every single business group in the state I've been endorsed by. In contrast, my opponent doesn't even put jobs in the economy on her website. It's just not something that's literally on our radar screen at all. So I think that is so important to make sure we focus on jobs first, because that's what makes everything else possible. And then of course that allows us to support a great education system, and here in Virginia, we're not just #1 for business, we have a lot of the #1 schools. And I know a lot of your children are in the GT program, are going to schools like Thomas Jefferson, and want to have those opportunities available. I think it is very important that Thomas Jefferson remain a merit school, that you don't get pushed out of the way for somebody else to get a position if it's not merit-based. So when your kids are studying hard and you tell them, education is the way to get ahead, we want to make sure that they fair and square get those spots that they've earned. So I'm very supportive of keeping Thomas Jefferson and all of our schools, meritocracies, so that you can advance the way you've done so well here in this community. And then finally, an issue, we all have, transportation issues are always a constant problem here. Please know that we're working with our community on that. Then there's also another issue I wanted to mention, because it's something that we've all worked on. The Attorney General has worked on. I think Mark Obenshane was here earlier. I know he's worked on it, and it's human trafficking. And we've all worked together with all of our communities throughout Northern Virginia on the growing problem of human trafficking. They are targeting our children. They're targeting all of our children. These are gangs that get involved in this, and it's a really frightening thing that's going on here. So I thank you for being involved and helping us crack down on that crime, and everything that the community has done. Working together, we really can stop those kind of problems in our community, so our children don't have to live in fear of getting trapped in a really frightening situation like that. So thank you for having us all here. I'm sorry I'm losing my voice. It usually doesn't sound quite this bad, but I think by Election Day, it'll be totally gone. As mentioned, Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. I should tell you a little bit about where my district is. I represent McLean, Great Falls, and parts of Vienna and parts of Loudoun. So I really would appreciate you telling all your friends. Puneet is in my district. Where did he go? Okay, yeah, so he's the boss here. We work with Puneet, and he has been in both of my commercials in 2011 when I won by 10 points. And so we're counting on that again for him this year. He's in my commercial again. But I hope you will, my commercial is up on TV and on networks, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how important the network of YOU is. Not CBS, not NBC, not any of those networks, but you. Your network and your sphere of influence really makes a big difference. So when you go home over the next 5 days, if you can tell them about our candidacy, about what we want to do for your families and your children in our community, and how we're all going to be working together to have a great Northern Virginia success story for us to continue to be here. I look forward to continuing to work with you, and I thank you so much for sharing our message with everybody you know. Thanks.
I'm supposed to be lucky for Barbara. Last time she won by 10 points. This time we're going to set a new record. So Barbara, let's see, I was wearing my red shirt with stripes, so that's where more American is. But we're coming close to the event. We were waiting for Ken's dad, who was at another event, who so wanted to come here. Once, I hope you do get a chance to meet him, get to know him. He's a fabulous person, and that's the reason why the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And I really enjoyed getting to meet Ken's father, so we're going to miss it. But, because can I ask you to come here, please? Ladies and gentlemen, we did a great event with Nikki Haley last week. And Vikas did a phenomenal job of having almost 200 people there. And he opened his home with his wife and friends who did that. And he and other friends have come from Richmond, so I want to recognize them. So please, a round of applause for my friends from Richmond. And there's a person, before I bring him in, I want to thank certain people who are here. Kamal Gill at the back, Nirsimaji, Niranjan, who took out time from the busy schedule to come here, Mayur Modi Saab, and all Rani Auntie's friends who I love, who I adore, who are here. Rani Auntie, I love you and thank you so much for your help and support. Ravi Pillai is here, my friend Vinny is here, and of course, Deepa, who doesn't get recognized as most wives don't, because Manish does all the jobs. So thank you all for coming in. Reshma and Naresh, great Republican friends of mine. I love you guys. So before I close this event, and I want to give a regard and respect, and one more guy, Kishore Thota. Kishore, you do a phenomenal job. I'm so proud of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for what you do for the community. Now I'll request, before we close, I always have somebody who I have a highest regard and respect for. Whenever I've gone to Richmond, this person never lets you leave cross Richmond before he feeds you, he honors you, and he respects you. I have learned a lot from Dr. Thakur. Thakur Saab is going to give the closing statement for today evening. I request you to be here, sir. Please. If our Northern Virginia community can be anything like the Richmond community, it would be awesome. And Thakur Saab has done a phenomenal job. He has cloned his people. Vikas is one of them, Gautam Gandhi, who hosted Mark Obenshane last week also. So, sir, do us the honors before we close this great event.
Ladies and gentlemen, Diwali is very auspicious celebration for all of us. And I'm so happy that we have so many elected officials here to celebrate our Diwali. So on behalf of entire Indian community, I would like to thank our elected officials and also the officials who would be elected in this coming election. So I want to thank them, and I'm especially thankful to my friend and our community leader, Puneet Aluwalia, who organized this event. Finally, I talked to Mrs. Cuccinelli today, and we discussed, and she promised that when she becomes First Lady, she'll have next Diwali celebration in Governor's Mansion. Mrs. Cuccinelli, thank you very much, and we look forward to celebrate Diwali with you in Governor's Mansion. And thank you all for coming here, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to meet with you. We all, 9 people came from Richmond, so I want to thank all of them. Thank you.
Dr. Saab, as always, it's my honor to know you. I said it'll be the last word, but I also want to thank very important people in my life, my better half Nadia, my 3 kids who are at the back, and my very, very close dear friend Pankaj Malhotra and his wife Shashi Malhotra. Pankaj is my brother-in-arms, so I love you, Pankaj. Thank you for supporting me and helping for everything. And please, and also there's Edison from Ken Cuccinelli campaign. I didn't recognize him earlier. I'm sorry. So thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.